Hello, this is Wizard and welcome to another video. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you every single part in the Mindstorms EV3 set. So I've gone through all the different motors and everything, so I won't be talking about those in this video, just about the actual parts. So I've got them stored in this large multifunction toolbox, so you use to like bait and tackle and other things. It works pretty well, storing on Lego pieces. It also lets you get an overview of everything. It's really helpful for during builds, and it just gives you some really good access to everything. And of course, all the motors and sensors are down at the bottom. I'm going to start up at the top, because that's probably the best place to start, just based on how it's positioned. So in this top row, we have the batteries at the end. That's great. We have this this column, which has these pieces, useful for like building on the side, and it's also got this piece, sort of like a weird macaroni kind of piece. It can be useful for using alongside gears to make the gear go a little bit slower. It's got one of these in the whole set. I'm not quite sure why they only included one, because it's a pretty useful piece, but there are other ways to achieve this piece, so I understand that they only put one in. And then there's 4 of these. I'm not quite sure what their purpose is. I'm not sure if these do anything, these ones off the side, but if somebody can tell me, that would be great. I'd love to know what these do. This is very useful for bevel gears, because it lets you put 2 bevel gears in the perfect position to move around perfectly. So use it a lot in media motors. So I just attach this to the front and then put the bevel gears there. This is just all of these large beams that have this middle part here that's slightly elongated. So just all of those pieces are just kept here, which works fine. All of this is all of the panels, and it works pretty well for the panels. The longer ones, they just go in here. A few different kinds, along with these sort of like overhang, sort of like maybe like wind guard piece, mud guard pieces, and then just the rest of them here. Just however where it all fits in. And across the side here, there's a lot of these framework elements, really useful for just building up scaffolding really quickly on larger builds. These really strange pieces that you can use as sort of gears, which were introduced first in the Lego Movie theme, and they've been used in a few different sets after that. And these T-pieces, which are also useful for stability. Alright, so down on the second row, open it back up, we have... Oh, jeez. Alright, so over all the way at the start here, we have the different connector beams. We have these red ones, which can go with axles. Keep on dropping everything. These ones that go with axles, which they just go with axles. They're kind of hard to pull out of some... You know what? That can just stay there. They can be hard to pull out of some pieces. And these ones are about the opposite of that. They are like these black Technic pins, but with no friction. So useful for attaching wheels and different things. Up here, we have a similar sort of bended piece, but this one is much shorter. And there's heaps of those in there, all packed up nicely. There are just 4 of these red beams. I'm not sure what the stud count is on that, but there's 4 of those, and because they're the only red beams in the set, I thought I might as well put them all together. Down here, there are these. So these are sort of really useful for propping up things on stands and to give stability for pins and very technical things inside of the build. In fact, a lot of these pieces in red are for stability, especially these. These are really useful for building up strength in the more technical parts of builds, especially these. And these aren't used as frequently because they aren't very stable and they can move around quite easy, but they're used in some places. This tub is full of different kinds of parts. There are these parts, which are regular beams in tan, but they actually have like a gap here. There are these ones, which are sort of pins in the stock tan with a sort of bit at the top that can be used to attach studs. There is... That's the same piece. I'm trying to forget that one. There is one of these, which is one of these blue ones, but in tan, and that's similar to this. It doesn't have any friction. Useful for attaching wheels. there are these useful pieces, which are used in conjunction with these beams to provide a lot of stability. I don't think I've completely taken off some of these. They're kind of hard to pull off, but they're really good for just struts, and then they also have with the Technic pin end, and that's what's in there. Brick separator, because that's always useful. These kind of gears, I think that's like 24 tooth something, and then smaller 8 gears maybe. Probably not 8, maybe. Anyway, a little bit bigger. This one is just random beams, the longest type, before it gets too long to put in these kind of drawers. So I just keep those 4 long ones up here, along with these reds. These spike pieces, really great ornamental pieces. They only have one point of connection, but they look awesome. Over across here, these support pieces are more for building up longer poles, and then also there's ones at different angles if you want to do something like with that. Besides that, in here are black axles, so long black axles, or just these pieces in different sizes. In here are some of those Technic balls, these ones in red. There are some more gears in gray. There are wheel like sort of rim pieces, and then tires, so it works. Some bevel gears. Oh, there's the other one, so there isn't just one of those in the set. Great, put up there. These pieces, I didn't know the set even came with these. A lot of these pieces are just sort of random jumbled up pieces that are really only used very, very rarely. But yeah, so there's this piece then, the cylinder. And what else? Oh yeah, a rubber band. Just a single rubber band. That's really useful for certain builds. In here there are wheels, this piece, and this piece. Down here is the main, the main parts. This is most of what you're going to be doing using building. Across, the famous 1x2 black pin. A little compartment for these kind of pieces, but just a little bit more built up, and it has 2 pins rather than a sort of a hole. In here, there's also these yellow ones. These can be useful for getting some distance gap filled in if you haven't completely filled in space between these. Useful filler. These are like these, except they have an ended off top, so useful for maybe plugging in holes, or if you have a structure that needs to be held together. These are 3 long of these type, they're just in blue. There are 2 types of pieces in here. There's these, and then there is these. They look exactly like what they do, they just can connect pieces on the sides, and then also on the top. Useful for just random building on different angles. These are really useful. They're half loose friction, no, actually with friction pins, and then half axle. Really useful for a lot of different things. In here are all different types of axles. There's grey and there's light grey. There are these type. They're just regular long type of axles. There are axles that have ends, like fixed off ends, like this one, with the ends, that way pieces don't come out of the other side. All in different sizes and shapes. Just left all those together. Down here, it's an axle in 3 wide. There's heaps of these in here. They're really useful for different builds, especially linking these together. Down here are random L-shaped pieces, and that continues over here, except these ones are slightly bigger L-shaped pieces, and those are just good for regular building. Tooth pieces, claw pieces, those kind of pieces, they're all just here. These are sort of pieces that have 2 of these Technic pins together. Stuffed all of them together. Here are random beams that are no shorter than I think 7 or 8 axles. I just keep all those in here. It's starting to get pretty full. In here there's just 2 longs. I might actually add 3 longs into here as well because it's getting way too full. In here are anything longer than that, so all the longer beams, they just go in there. So the medium-sized ones. And in here are red of these yellow ones, and they're about twice or thrice as longer. And then these. I think these don't have any friction, but yeah, just good for random builds. And finally, down at the bottom, we have all the motors and sensors and everything. All the motors and sensors are kept over here. might just actually move the camera. All the motors and systems kept over here. The Mindstorms box is in this white box to protect it. All sensors and motors. There are 4 long beams, like super long beams in here, and they just kept over here towards the back so I could find them. A few big wheels like this. A few tank treads, because those are useful. Leftover of these compartments, fillers, because for a lot of the pieces at the top, I couldn't insert these in, so I just keep them all together at the bottom. There is the LED wire, not LED, there's the HDMI wire connected to Mindstorms brick to a computer, and then just all the regular wires in there, sort of jumbled up, mainly together and folded. But yeah, and that's about how everything is and every single piece. I'm surprised I managed to cover 2,500 pieces in such a quick rate. But yeah, that's the Mindstorms. That's every piece that there is, or at least that I use. There will be some more Mindstorms videos coming up super quick. And if you didn't get my last video with the rock, paper, scissors machine, make sure you go to that and leave comments if you want to see anything using these pieces. Maybe you got an idea by looking at something. Can anybody find something to build this with? Or maybe even this? Or maybe this? Anyway, this is Like a Wizard. Have a nice day.